All right. Well, here we are on the next episode of the Speakers Resource Center podcast. It is my pleasure to welcome our next guest. He is joining us from France right now. Thank you for staying up late. Our guest is Sureal Sparx. One of the big topics that he talks on, besides being a coach and a trainer, he speaks on a couple of different topics. But this topic, I'm super interested in you hearing about. It's called NLP 101. Use your brain to unlock your powers as a speaker and thrive as a business leader. Thank you so much for joining us, Sureal.
Well, thank you, Thomas. The pleasure is all mine, and I definitely cut my dinner short to be here tonight because this is where I wanted to be, just having a little talk with you, talking about all that good stuff, NLP, speaking, and coaching. Absolutely.
Awesome. And I know it's your passion. I mean, I've known you for a while. We know each other in San Diego. Sureal kind of goes back and forth, France, San Diego, France, San Diego. So we caught him in France this time. For Sureal, a lot of us do know you in the San Diego area. And then there are a lot of folks that, who is this Sureal guy, this Sureal Sparx with that really cool, catchy name? For those folks that don't know about you, could you briefly share part of your bio and how you got to where you are today?
Sure, absolutely. It's my pleasure, Thomas. Well, I was born and raised in France, and I came to the US when I was 17. I realized that I had a knack in bad personal development when I was about 24. I actually fell into a deep, dark depression at the time for many reasons that I won't get into at this point in time. But coming out of this depression happened because I really dug into personal development and started to use NLP from a conscious perspective. I realized that I was doing it all along before that, but I read some books and I started to really educate myself in the field and became conscious of the tools that I was already using and started to intentionally and consciously use all that good stuff. So I've been doing this for a while. However, I was on a different path, and it's about 4 or 5 years ago that I decided to make speaking, coaching into personal development as a career. And I'm glad I did, because this is really the stuff that I love doing.
Yeah. So I want to jump right into it. Like, the first question that I have is, could you please define for those of us that don't recall, what is NLP? What does NLP mean? And then you can just jump right into how I can use it to help my business as a speaker.
Cool, excellent. Well, that's a really bold question, Thomas, because you probably would get a different definition from many different people. So after having studied and trained and exercised NLP for quite some time now, I'll give you my perspective and my definition of it. That's the best I can do at this point in time. My understanding is, first of all, NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Okay, and I could go into breaking down neuro-linguistic programming, what it stands for, but what I'll do is I'll go straight to the crystal clear definition of what NLP is. NLP for me is the understanding and the use of the language of the mind to create and achieve desired results. And that really comes from the way that we are actually structured as human beings, the way we're formed as human beings with our neuronal system, our brains, and the function that is derived from that structure. And that's really what's going on here. From that structure, we have that function, which NLP is all about. NLP, if you want, is a user's guide to your mind. It's also a toolbox to use to be able to make the most out of your mind, to be able to create what you want for your life and your business.
Okay, I'm in. I mean, I'm totally sold on that. How can I I absolutely know that you coach and you train and you can work with people one-on-one, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. I work with clients regularly on a daily basis.
Yeah. Is there anything that you could share today that might help me and listeners? Because let me put this in perspective. The folks that are listening to this particular podcast are typically Typically, they're all business owners to some degree because they're a speaker, trainer, or facilitator. So they're either just getting into it, into the whole speaking world. Some are professional paid speakers that are looking to level up their game. I mean, they're full-time, they're leveling up their game, or somewhere in between. So what can we use? What can we do right now?
Oh, absolutely. Let me dig right into this. Well, a client of mine not too long ago asked me this bold question. She asked, how do I create the life of my dreams? And it's a really bold question because it's huge. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff involved with it, but I really wanted to put it simply to her and answer to the best of my ability in just a few words. And it came clear to me very quickly that it's really 3 steps. The first one is clarity. All right, it's what you want to focus on, what you want in your life. You want to define it in crystal clear clarity so that you know, first of all, what you want and you know where you're going to go after. So that's the first step. It's clarity, focus, what you're going to concentrate on, what you're going to zero in on, your target. Then it's about your mindset. That's the second step. It's your mindset. And that's the meat of the process right there, where you want to basically assess all the thoughts that you have, inventory the thoughts that you have, understand what's working out for you, what is not working out for you, transform what's not working out into something that works, and keep moving with what works for you. Because a lot of people don't realize that they actually work every day. They operate every single day with a lot of junk, a lot of thoughts, a lot of behaviors that have been conditioned from their childhood that they've been carrying all along. And first of all, it's not their thoughts, it's not their behaviors, it's the thoughts and behaviors of their family, of their friends, their teachers, the media, the environment they were brought into. And unless they become, first of all, self-aware and aware of those thoughts, then most likely they haven't done that transformative process to realize that those thoughts are not thoughts that are mine, and some I want to keep, some I want to let go. And I want to make sure that all the thoughts and behaviors I have are, first of all, mine, and the ones that I want to take along the journey of creating my life, creating my dreams. So that's a big portion of the process. And the last process, the third step, is to take action, and always when I talk about taking action, I think about Tony Robbins, because he's a guy that from the videos back in the 80s and the 90s, he's always talking about taking massive action. Well, I couldn't agree more with him. It's true. Some people talk about the law of attraction, and I know you're familiar with the law of attraction. Probably a lot of people that are watching this right now, they know about the law of attraction. And it's one thing to focus on what you want, because you know that what you focus on, you're going to get more out of it. But it's only one part of the equation. That's only one part of manifesting. It's the attraction part. The other part of manifesting is doing your job, is taking action. So that's the third part of it. And every step of the way, clarity, focus, mindset, and taking action, you have different tools in the toolbox that NLP is, that you can use to really make it an effective and efficient process to really leverage your time, energy, and money, and really create your life the way you want it.
Right. So so I'm sold. I'm a fan anyway, and I thought that was very well done. I like especially when you defined NLP, because I was thinking it really doesn't matter what NLP means. What does it mean to me? Like what's in it for me? And I like how you made that very clear. So for listeners and I understand that there's probably some things that stop me from being the best that I can be going forward. Is there anything I can do on a daily basis, or I could be mindful of right now,
Sure.
even before I even come to see you? And I want to remind everyone, we'll have Sureal's contact information down below. you want to contact him and find out where he's speaking next, or talk to him one-on-one and find out a specific plan.
Cool.
In the meantime, we got you right now. So
Yeah.
what can we do right now?
Cool. I'll give you a little inside secret about NLP and the unconscious mind. So there is one thing that the unconscious mind does or does not, is that it does not process negatives. So when you are thinking about something, when you're thinking about something that you want, or you're working on motivating yourself to do something, it is of great matter. It is very important to turn it into an affirmative and make sure that it is as positive as possible. And I'm not just talking about positive thinking here. I'm thinking about, for example, I want, let me find a good example.
Could I offer something?
Yeah,
or
go
leave
right
you
ahead.
alone, or leave you alone. I don't know. I don't want to mess up your process. But I was thinking as a speaker. So
Yes.
you and I will be speaking at the same event that's coming up. All right.
Yes.
And so I'm thinking about going on stage.
Yes.
And would it apply if we were going to speak? Is not thinking something like this, of like, okay, don't be nervous, don't be nervous, don't be nervous, don't be nervous.
Exactly.
And instead say of like, I am confident, I am confident, I am confident.
Beautiful.
Is that the difference?
Exactly, absolutely. Because the first one, when you say don't be nervous, your unconscious does not process the negative. So the don't is not gonna appear, is not gonna be part of the message to your unconscious. The only thing that your unconscious is going to focus on is the active word, which in this statement is be nervous. So physiologically, that's what your unconscious is going to start to work on. And all of a sudden, that's what your focus is going to be on, being nervous. And that's what you're going to be feeling, emotionally speaking. So the result is going to be behaviors that are derived from being nervous. However, like you just said, I'm confident is the positive form of it. And that's the message that you want to send to your unconscious, because your unconscious is going to focus on the active words with, in this case, is going to be confident. I am confident. Absolutely. Yeah. Great example. Thank you.
Yeah, Sureal. It's a really powerful takeaway. And I hope listeners take a deep breath and drink that in and let that settle. What you're sharing can cause a profound change in the results. And I know I'm a testimonial for it, and I'm speaking along with you to listeners, is that I've proven this. I see results from something as simple. It sounds so simple. It's almost like woo-woo positive thinking, la 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 la, like that's not going to work for me. Here's the interesting thing. What if it was that simple? What if it was so simple that when you got up to speak next time, or you had a sales call next time, you reframed it into, I am confident, I am calm, the sale is done. Something to that effect, right? I mean, Sureal might offer something a little bit differently. But one thing certainly is not going to help is by saying, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous right now, I'm so nervous right now. Don't blow this sales call. That's not going to help. I mean, that would increase my anxiety. So what if it was that subtle of a shift, you know?
It is absolutely the way it works. And let me tell you this, Thomas, about NLP, the basics and the foundational concepts, everything is that simple. It's all common sense. So very often, first off, the reaction I get from the clients I work with or the audiences that I speak to, they always kind of like, duh, but yeah, it is that unconscious knowledge that we all have that is being brought to the surface, and it's just so simple that people feel like, well, I'm being cheated because I knew that. Well, maybe you knew it, but were you really aware that you know it? And there is a big difference right there of being aware of knowing it so that you actually intentionally use it. Because there is that feeling once you know of it that, yeah, I've been doing this many times and it works for me every single time. Absolutely. But have you been doing it intentionally? Was it clear in the way that it is formulated to you now that you know you can use it every single time you think about it? It wasn't. And that's the beauty of bringing that to the surface. But it is that simple. I agree with you.
Being mindful. I mean, I acknowledge that. I mean, I know I have learned, you know, I'm over 50. Like I turned 50 last year. And
Woo-hoo!
I tell you, man, I have learned there are things that happen in my life that continue to teach me a lesson. And so I've lived long enough to know is that clearly I need to hear something 100,000 times before I shift. Other things, it could be one time. But clearly I'm destined, I keep repeating some old patterns and habits. So if it was so simple, Thomas, and if you really knew it, then you would have shifted. If you really understood the cost. I remember you triggered something that I'm thinking of. I had heard this saying about, somebody had once told me, it's like, well, Thomas, you say that you know it. Well, maybe you know about something. Maybe you knew about this negative versus positive framing, but you don't know it. You know about it, you hear about it, but you don't know it in your heart, in your gut, so that when you wake up in the morning, you have changed your programming, which I think comes back to, it sounds like it comes back to what you help clients with is neuro-linguistic programming. We're looking to reprogram, not in a bad, weird brainwashing in a bad way, but in a good washing way. Let's get you programmed for success.
Well,
You know?
that's the idea, you know, it's the Jedi mind trick right there. It's just there is the dark side of the force and there's the light side of the force.
Right.
It is the same tool, but the intention behind it is what's going to take it to the dark side or the light side of the force. And as funny as it sounds, it's really what it is. And you just said it. It is what is known as brainwashing, but brainwashing is bad rep because it's only been done or it's only been said or talked about within the context of manipulation that has been detrimental to people versus brainwashing, conditioning that is being done to the benefit of people. And there is plenty of it that's done every single day. I'll give you an example. Parenting is actually some type of brainwashing, but they work from a blank slate with the kids that they are taking care of. It's giving them standards and principles, working from values and beliefs. And that's the same thing. The beauty of it is once you are aware of it and you understand that your intention makes a difference, you want to definitely be doing it for the best of everybody. That means yourself, that means the other person you're working with, and the world as a whole as well. And that's part of NLP as well. It's called ecology in NLP. It's considering all the effects and affects that you do practicing NLP and using the tools to make sure that it is beneficial for yourself, to the other person, and the world as a whole.
Man, you know, Sureal, I'm so excited for anyone listening and watching us right now for people to go and see you speak. I've seen you speak before. You bring a lot of passion. You are such a giving person. And I really want people watching to go and experience the Sureal experience. You know, I know it's a play on words, but the Sureal Sparx in experience. Make sure that you go do contact Sureal at the information we're going to put around this video when it posts. And Sureal, before you go, because our time is short right now, that's how fast it went. It went ridiculously fast today. It was that interesting. It was that interesting, man.
Thank
you.
So
a couple of questions regarding you and your journey, and just real brief answers to this. Is if you had to start over on your journey about being the communicator you are today. So if you had a magic wand, you could go back and you could do something differently. What would you do differently, start earlier or whatever to get you to this place?
I would listen to my wisdom. Because I think you mentioned that about yourself a little bit earlier. It's about repeating some of the same mistakes because of some patterns of maybe being too comfortable or just not having learned yet, even though you know about.
Mm-hmm.
I realized that I've made some of the same mistakes over and over again because I wasn't listening to myself, or even sometimes just because I wasn't doing what I was saying I was going to do. And that makes a tremendous difference. And
Humans are stubborn. We are stubborn. And it's stubborn sometimes in a good way and sometimes in a bad way.
it's part of our innate structure, and it's part of our unconscious mind, is to protect us, is to make sure that we're going to survive another day. So in some ways it is working for us, but in some other ways it's also limiting us toward achieving the success we're really going after some ways, unless you work at it and you have the intention to go for that. So to really answer your question, listen to my wisdom.
Listen to your wisdom inside.
Yeah.
Self-wisdom. Yeah. Cool. Last question. So last question. Social correctness, political correctness aside, meaning let's not filter crap. It's nonsense right now. For when we think of new speakers, let's say that you are coaching and you're mentoring a speaker that's looking to be a immensely successful paid speaker, trainer, or facilitator. What is it they need to hear right now that you've always wanted to say?
Just fucking do it. And I tell myself every single day as well, every single day. Just fucking do it. Get out of your way, man. Trust that voice inside, right? That's what I hear, is like, trust your truth, get out there and speak. There will always be people that are not going to like you and they may heckle you. But then again, on the other side, there are people that have been just waiting for you to stand up and say hi. I'll put it using an I statement, but I know this applies, I'm pretty sure, to everybody. I spend so much time working myself out of doing something instead of just doing it right away. It's insane. I spend so much time about thinking about something that I want to be doing, and as soon as I start thinking about it too long, I go, what if that happened? And if this is going to happen, then that's going to happen. And in the end, it's a huge waste of resources, time, money, energy, when in that amount of time, you would have done that thing already, you would have succeeded, or let's say I would have done it, I would have succeeded, and I would be at the next step already. So that's what I tell myself and my clients and everybody I come across all the freaking time. Just fucking do it. Stop talking about it. Fucking do it.
I think I remember this conversation with you a couple of years ago.
Right. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap for this episode of the Speakers Resource Center with Sureal Sparx. Make sure that you please get in touch with him. He loves the personal relationships. If you're in San Diego, please go out and see him at his next speaking engagements. Or, I know he travels around the world to speak, or willing to. So get in touch with him. Let him know. Find out about his availability and his contact information. And Sureal, listen, man, thank you so much for joining us direct from France. I love technology that we get to do. It feels like you're next door. You have a better connection than the person I did an interview with in San Diego. Telling you, European tech.
We're in the same space. We're in the same space right here, right now.
All right. Thank you again, and we'll talk to you again. All right. We'll see you soon.
Thomas. Thank you.
Bye.